Good afternoon, and welcome to another scintillating episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your scurrilous and scruffy host, Voice of Doom. Hello. Alright, I'm gonna do another one. And I'll catch you up on the microcosm a little bit. Called the Douglas County Sheriff's Office yesterday. See if there was any update on Max. And there was. And the cause of death was just as I suspected, just as I said the day it happened. He had acute alcohol poisoning paired with the fact that he went outside and fell unconscious on the ground in Tahoe, in the woods, and it got down to 27 degrees. So his system shut down because of those two factors. So I'm going to put everyone's mind to rest as far as that subject goes. And in a way, I was hoping there would be more than that. I kind of wanted to hope that it wasn't his own bad decisions that killed him. But there was no foul play, there was no drugs, there was no outside forces. It was of his own making and his own effect from his own causes. So that's that. So I'm sitting at home. It's Tuesday, October 15th, and there's exactly 3 weeks until we'll be voting. Those of us who vote on election day for our next batch of leaders. Now, time is growing short, and I'm sure that the powers that be are looking at the polls and not really sure what their move is going to be in the near-term future. By near-term, I mean in the next 2 weeks. Because by my reckoning, you have to have at least a week after a major fiasco before major changes take place, such as suspending the elections. And I still think something could happen, so I'm very anxious, and I'm not feeling at peace because I still feel like something's going to happen. And so I'm kind of slipping back into my old habits of bad sleeping habits, drinking, not too much, but just not really caring too much about the future. So that's where that is. I did the same thing I was doing, waking up very early, 5:30, 6 in the morning, and then falling back to sleep. And depending on the weather, my environment, I will have strange dreams. And this one was where I leave the computer on when I'm watching it, and then I fall asleep, and I'm watching news, and usually it goes from thing to thing. And I was back in my old job in LA. I was looking for books on the shelf, and I was going from building to building, wandering around trying to find books, and I had a list of books, and some were so simple, bestsellers, that I should have been able to find easily, and I couldn't find one book that I wanted. And everywhere I went, I was hearing people talk about how great Gargoyle was. And I knew I was in LA. I knew I was in the, throes of liberalism, but I was still curious why there was so many people praising Gargoyle. And eventually I woke up and I was very hot because I wore this sweater in the morning and it's heated up, but that's beside the point. I just had a weird dream, and I always dream about things they're saying on the news, and I incorporate it into my dreams, and so it becomes a big political debate in my head. Okay, let's go on. All right, Gargoyle is going to do a interview on Fox, a 30-minute interview tomorrow with Bret Baier, and I think that'll be a good one. And I think they're talking about her actually going on Rogan for 3 hours, and that should be very interesting, especially for that long a time. And my feeling is that eventually her womanly nature is going to come out, because I don't think she has the political acumen to remain calm under pressure. And I think that maybe eventually, and it'll probably be edited out, but word will get out that she's going to have a breakdown of some sort. And I don't mean she's going to break down and cry all she could, but just become catty or just say something that's not politically, advantageous. I don't know how. I just don't think she's going to be able to hold it together as the pressure mounts. Now, apparently, her popularity is waning a bit, and yet everywhere I look, it's still neck and neck. The election is neck and neck. It's still too close to call, which, as you know, I find very disturbing. But when you think about it, it's not surprising, because George Washington was right, and I'm right. What I said on my very first diatribe is the reason that this country, what used to be this country, is a failure is because of political parties. Never should have had them. Because once you have political parties, you have gatherings, alliances, and loyalties which transcend reason and transcend altruism. We don't care what happens to the country as long as we win. We don't give a crap about people as long as our side wins. And it's like, you can use analogies of a football game, of it's our team at all costs, and we're loyal to our team no matter how bad they are. And that's just the way it is. Now, Gargoyle was talking to her loyal fans that I guess she ships in from here, there, and everywhere to a rally because she can't gather enough people from the area. And she was saying, Orangey's afraid to debate me again. Why is he hiding? Gargoyle is asking why Orangey is hiding. Okay. Now, she's getting people all riled up that Orangey won't do another debate, as if she's going to make any headway, as if she'll do any better than she did before. She'll do worse. And every time she makes an appearance in public, she goes down in popularity. Okay, here's an analogy for you. You're playing football, you're on a team, and your team is ahead by 7 points, and you have the ball, and there's 1.5 minutes left in the game. And what tends to happen is you do what they call running out the clock. Now, I'm not a big football aficionado, but I know enough to know what running out the clock means. It means you snap the ball after letting all the time that you have to huddle elapse, and then you snap the ball and drop to your knees and do it again. Do it 3 or 4 times until the game is over because you've won. Now what if the other team said, well, that's not fair. Just because you're ahead 7 points doesn't mean you can't do a Hail Mary pass. Just because you're ahead 7 points doesn't mean you can't throw a long pass that we might be able to intercept and run back for a touchdown. It's not fair. You're not trying. You're afraid. You're afraid of us. It's strategy and it's legal. So simple. Now, another factor is, what if you're a what do you call that, Pee Wee League football team, and you challenge the, give me any team, the New York Jets, to a football game. And the New York Jets say, no, we will not play you because we'll break your necks by accident. And then the Pee Wee team says, well, you're afraid of us. See, we're better than the Jets. They won't even play us. That's what it's like. Now, I was going to get into gargoyle a bit more. I don't have much time left, but I will say this. Go on Google, type in Kamala Harris, which is what the world calls her, and bullying, those 2 terms, and see how many websites come up, some like 637,000 or so. Maybe they repeat themselves over and over again, but Gargoyle is a bully. Gargoyle is imperious. Gargoyle thinks she's above everybody. Gargoyle wants all the trappings and all the good food and all the parties and galas and attention and adulation that goes along with being so-called president. But she doesn't want to do the work. And it's happening all over the place. Well, you should see what she does and where she goes and what they eat. I eat turkey rolled up in a tortilla with American cheese and mayo. That's what I eat. She eats lobster. She eats crab cake. She eats Peking duck, and she eats, what else was on the menu? That was just one menu, So she wants to live high on the hog without doing any of the work, and it's very well known that she doesn't want to work. She doesn't want to look at her notes. She doesn't want to look at the dossiers and the files that her aides give her to study in order to prepare for a debate or a interview. And then when she does badly, she blames those self-same aides. And either the aides are thinking, well, it's a good-paying job, reasonably, and it's good on my resume, so I will take her abuse. Some haven't. And I wouldn't, not for any amount of money. I would not be abused. I would not kowtow to anybody for any amount of money if they were treating me like crap. She treats her staff like crap, and she says things like, do not look me straight in the eye, as if she's, King Nebuchadnezzar or something. Queen Nefertiti. How dare you look me straight in the eye? I'm surprised that she doesn't make them, come up to her, with their heads bowed and crouching so that their head isn't above hers. She's an imperious, disgusting specimen of humanity and should be treated as such. But that's her want, and she's a brat, and she's a horrible person. And then Barry goes into the barber shop, or maybe it wasn't a barber shop, but it was just some hovel, talking to his fellow brothers, who he has so much in common with. The choice couldn't be more clear. I agree with him. But he's saying the choice couldn't be more clear because how can you not vote for a woman because you're a misogynist, because you're afraid? The choice couldn't be more clear. We have a choice between an incompetent person to run this country or someone who won't do the homework, doesn't know anything, and is really stupid. I'm smarter than she is. Bottom line, I could do a better job on day one if I was elected president. But I don't want the job, don't need the job. Okay, in conclusion, been watching a few movies that I've already watched, which is my want, because I don't want to watch a new movie because then I have to actually pay attention. I just want to watch a movie I've already seen so I don't have to give it my undivided. Now, I watched First Blood again. I just like it, violent, exciting movies where the underdog comes out on top and surprises these smug, police or whoever is the, protagonist. And then yesterday I watched Terminator 2, which I've seen, but it's an action-packed movie. One of the best sequels after The Godfather. And it occurred to me that there's an analogy with the Terminator 2. I was watching this cop chase and chase and chase, and he will not give up. He was going to kill John Connor, and he was going to kill Sarah Connor at all costs. Did not matter if he got destroyed 10 million times, if he got shattered into 1 million pieces, if he gets run over by a gas truck. It doesn't matter. The guy puts himself back together and keeps going after John. And it reminded me of Orangey, because these powers that be will not stop until they've gotten him. They will not stop. But John Connor prevailed in the end. Sarah Connor prevailed in the end. And the powers that be had to start at square one. Obviously, they must have built everything all over again because they had a third installment. So, they didn't succeed in their ultimate goal, but they stayed alive. Now, I think rather than thinking of Orangey as John Connor, we can think of Orangey as the Roadrunner. And the powers that be is Wile E. Coyote. I refer you back to my Wile E. Coyote installment a year or two ago, which was a good one. You should watch it. And this Roadrunner is not going to get caught, and he's not even trying. He's not even fully aware most of the time that the Wiley is after him. He's just running around. And somehow everything seems to work out for the Roadrunner, and Wiley always ends up getting it, falling off a cliff or getting smashed by a boulder or some such. But Wiley keeps coming back. So we have this to look forward to, is the powers that be are not going to be stopped. And as long as it's neck and neck, then the powers that be will say, well, if it's neck and neck, then Gargoyle will win, because the Democrats will cheat to the point where they'll get at least 10 extra points, 10 extra percentage points from their cheating. So as long as it's neck and neck, we will win, because they can't have Orangey win. It's not going to happen for them. I don't care. It's not going to happen, because he's going to stymie them. Their plan of getting rid of all of us. Now, if Gargoyle slips below 10%, and it's say 60 to 40 in the next 2 weeks, then we can look forward to a pandemic or a nuclear holocaust or an EMP or a CME or a collapse, economic collapse, or a terrorist attack. one of those things will happen, and they have to, because the powers that be have no choice but to initiate a conflagration in order to circumvent this election. So that's that. I said enough, and I'll talk to you more about this later as Gargoyle makes more mistakes. So, ta-ta.